From a small shop in London selling seashells to Victorian natural history enthusiasts back in 1833, the Samuel family built an empire, a thriving import-export business. Shell is now North America's leading producer of oil, petrochemicals, and gas, and it has distinguished itself through its commitment to industry innovation. Let's start talking about its beginnings. Marcus Samuel owned a small company which was selling antiques in London during the 1800s. It was 1833 when he decided it was time to expand the business. Oriental shells were very popular at the time within the interior design industry, and it was a way to reflect the British Empire and the era of colonialism. So he got the first deals and started importing shells from the Far East in order to sell them to his customers in London. That was possibly the key moment that brought Shell to become an import-export company and brought the family a step closer, sowing the seeds for it to become the oil giant it is today. The company was working successfully until 1870, the year when Marcus Samuel passed. But his sons, Samuel and Marcus Samuel, yeah, they were not very creative with the names back then, inherited the family company and wanted to continue growing the business. They kept building the business by importing goods into the UK. However, they decided to expand the company to other commodities, importing silk and rice from China and exporting, in return, British textiles, tools, and machinery to the newly industrializing Far East. As you may be aware, commercially successful internal combustion engines were invented during the 1850s and 60s. The world even saw the first Mercedes brought to the market in 1886. But the oil trade began to be realized during the late 1880s and early 1890s. So, you can guess that there was a growing demand for gasoline to power motor vehicles all of a sudden. As always, the key issue with the trade of goods like oil was shipping. After all, this was a specific type of good that required special attention. Oil was carried in barrels, and with a risk of leaking and a substantial amount of space on ships, this was a huge problem for the merchants. And who else would work on this problem but rich families like the Rothschilds? They used to invest a lot in tunnels and railway lines in Russia, and the main reason was to get the oil to the Black Sea and to overcome the transport issues when exporting it overseas. The Samuel brothers, on the other hand, wanted a piece of that cake as well. So they set up oil storage facilities at ports in the Far East and commissioned a fleet of steamers that could carry oil in bulk. In fact, this is where they first used the Suez Canal, which, by the way, is a vital passage for oil tankers nowadays. Being able to transport oil in bulk was a huge deal back then. Therefore, by 1896, oil trading used to bring them more revenue than all the other businesses combined together. Now, as mentioned before, Samuels smashed that like button just like you should do if you haven't done so already. Oh, no, really. They expanded their business in different areas, but the oil slowly became the only thing on their mind. All that led to Shell Transport and Trading, a company formed in 1897. In honor of Marcus Samuel Sr., they made the logo of the company a scallop shell, the most popular type of seashell for collectors. In 1907, the Shell name briefly took a back seat when it merged with Royal Dutch. But either way, the newly formed business quickly became known as Shell even after that. When it comes to the logo, Shell's red and yellow scallop shell logo is probably one of the most recognizable symbols in the world, right? But it wasn't that bright and colorful from the beginning. Actually, it started as a black and white mussel shell, and it was trademarked in 1900. And why did the company change the logo from a mussel shell to a scallop? Well, there are many theories, but the exact origin is uncertain. Alright, we're moving on to the 20th century. To keep the competition with the Standard Oil Company, which was also a giant, and capitalize on the growth of the country's automobile industry, in 1912, Shell Group started selling gasoline imported from Sumatra in the United States. The beginning of the 20th century was a very successful period for the company when it came to expanding the business. In 1912, Royal Dutch/Shell Group founded another company called Royal Petroleum, which was located in Oklahoma. This only led to the opening of refineries in Wood River, Illinois, and New Orleans, Louisiana, only 4 years after that. Back in that time, there was much gasoline already available in nearby California. Urgent issues require urgent actions, so they decided to acquire California Oil Fields Limited in 1913. and the refinery built only 2 years later in Martinez, California. You see where I'm going with this. It was at this moment that the world realized that Shell will become a giant on the whole planet. The progress of the company is divided into a couple of stages. Every stage represents a very important part of the progress of the company. So it goes like this. The first stage is the rapid expansion during the 1920s. This was the period when the oil boom provided the company with a chance to penetrate Los Angeles with Shell petroleum products and gasoline, manufactured in its new refineries nearby. The progress continues in the years after, so the next stage is 1930 to the 1970s. This is the period when Shell became the largest producer of aviation fuel in the U.S. by supplying this fuel to the U.S. Air Corps. Shell decided to share this technology with the rest of the industry because of the increased demands of the military during World War II. So yes, Shell took a very important part in the war. The next stage and the first problems arrived between the mid-1980s to early 1990s. This was the time when the company came under the attack of an anti-apartheid coalition in the United States. A coalition made by members of various church groups, activists, and union representatives that protested against Royal Dutch/Shell's involvement in South Africa. So yes, Shell has seen some bad days as well. No matter how much I want to speak about the history of the company, I'm going to have to speed this up. So we're moving on to the restructuring period and late 1990s. This was the time when Jackie Little took over as president and CEO of Shell, and he decided to restructure the business operations into 4 new segments, including gas and oil production and exploration, chemical products, oil products, and downstream gas. This turned out to be a very big decision for the company shortly after. Okay, what is the situation with the company now, and what is the net worth of Shell? Just recently, it was announced that the company has a net worth of $210 billion in 2023. Wow, right? This makes Shell one of the leading companies in the gas and oil industry. If nothing else, this made it the largest company in gas and oil in terms of profit and revenue. The company has been smashing that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell. Oh gosh, no. In all seriousness now, they've been operating for a long time, and for its products and services, has acquired millions of customers around the world. It actually became a synonym for a gas station nowadays. Fun fact, during the period from 1988 to 2015, it was the 9th largest corporate producer of greenhouse gas emissions. You'll see Shell products and services in 99 countries, and it has around 44,000 service stations worldwide. The report from 2021 is suggesting that Shell has generated revenue of $375.229 billion, but most importantly, it had a total net income of $43.359 billion. As of now, it has a total market capitalization of $209.80 billion. And when it comes to its total net assets, it will have a total net asset of $437.358 billion this year. In its life's work, Shell has made various achievements and won various awards. Probably the most important is the Greenwash Lifetime Achievement Award from the Greenwash Academy's Oscar Green in 2022. In short, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.